Moving on to my favorite part of the show. Why would he say that? And this one's going to be a little different. I'm going to take this moment to, I think, for the very last time, because this guy could be every single week or every single day. So I want to make sure I'm few and far between. I won't say it's the last time, but it's one of. I want people to understand the character that Nick Wright is and why we're still allowing it to be more than just a character. So listen, first things first, I love the show, admittedly. And you're going to be able to go back and go, well, why are you saying this if you like the show? Or you're like, I follow all three of them on Twitter. If that's going to be a response to this, I follow Nick Wright, I follow Chris Broussard, I follow Kevin Wildes. I even think I started following Greg Jennings. I don't know if Mangini's on Twitter. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. The show is amazing because I think Fox has figured out what to do with this personality the same way I think ESPN about 15 years ago figured out how to do with Skip, which is get this really, for lack of a better word, annoying guy who just has it's a skill to get under people's skin, and he has that skill in spades. Skip had the skill in spades. Nick has the skill in spades. There's a couple other guys throughout history of sports media who just have the skill to just get under your skin. And it's really a shame that that's what drives TV ratings the way that it does. Because then what they do is they surround you with bits and gimmicks. Like the show has a bunch of really funny bits. And the way Broussard and Wildes play off of it, the show is absolutely a success. I think it's the best. It's currently, if it's not one, it's 1A or 1B as far as the best show in sports media in 2025. And they deserve respect and credit for that. The problem is that I think people take it as not just a bit an entertaining show. They take a lot of what is said as gospel. And they take a lot of what is said as if, and because the other problem with Nick is actually smart. Nick actually knows, like he is aware of the history of sports, both NFL and the NBA. Now, he's very narrative driven, and what he does is maybe the worst thing you can do, because not only does he know how to get under people's skin, he vehemently wants to be right more than he wants to tell the story correctly. So this is the difference, I think, between him and Colin. And I love Colin, and Colin gets a lot of stuff wrong. We all get a lot of stuff wrong. There's nobody who's out here predicting sports at a level at such a, it even like, it's like gambling. Like no one's really correctly predicting sports at a 60% level. Go look at this NFL season. Atlanta got blanked 30-0 by Carolina and dominated Buffalo. You could not have said with a straight face, oh yeah, this is absolutely what's going to happen. No one's predicting sports at an over 60% rate, which is why gambling and sports go well together. The problem, I think, is Colin tells you the story of what's happening. He gives you a interpretation of it that is easy to understand, and that's why Colin's a great listen. Where I think Nick goes off the deep end is when he wants to be right so bad, he just outright twists the facts and he twists what he believes into a way, into this condescending, get under your skin attitude. And that's his gimmick. And it's so apparent that, and he's a Kansas City Chiefs fan, and that's valid. And they've had success with his ride, with him being on TV. They've had the most successful run in the history of the franchise, and so he gets to attach himself to that and feel like, yeah, man, I am right so much. You should listen to me because I know what I'm talking about. He did the same thing with his early basketball takes, just attaching himself to LeBron. Problem is, he got LeBron towards the end of his prime, so he got one title in LA, and if you look at most of his basketball opinions surrounding LeBron James and the Lakers, and just NBA takes in general, he has a much lower success rate because LeBron was the fading dynasty, the Chiefs are the current dynasty. But let's get to what's just most blatant about this, beyond just establishing who he is, what the gimmick is, how he works. he'll tell you. You ever seen those videos of it skip versus skip and you just see the 2 points and it's like, oh, he's just contradicting himself because Skip didn't care to make sense. Skip cared to be good TV by the end of it. Well, let's do that with Nick Wright. And I can't pull up the videos because I'm going to get flagged and copyrighted and all that good stuff. But Nick gave maybe the biggest expose ever to his true belief on the Kansas City Chiefs, which is the entire time last year and the year before that when the Kansas City Chiefs offense was struggling and the early parts of this season, he said, look, I don't care that they're struggling. The offense is going to be fine because 15's playing quarterback. That's a fair statement. If you believe that you have one of the greatest quarterbacks ever, and Patrick Mahomes is one of those, that he is going to figure it out as far as offensively, and you have him and Andy Reid, fine, that's valid. And he has this bravado of full confidence. There's nothing wrong. They're great. They're a great defense. They know how to win this, that, and the third. But then what happens when that team starts losing these one-possession games? When you're 0-3 in one-possession games, you're 0-2 to start the season. Well, then you have to say the only thing that's valid, which is, yeah, but the offense is great now, which is why I've got confidence. One, two, carry. So when it's struggling, you don't care. They know how to win. They're just clutch. And when they're no longer winning at a rate that is clearly unsustainable because they set the NFL record for most one-score games, winning the most one-score games, 17 in a row. And then when they start to struggle, the only thing you actually care about is the offense looking better, is the offense getting good. Because when Mahomes was struggling, you didn't care that he was struggling. You just cared that they were winning. But now that they're not winning at such a high rate, and again, they're 3-3, and I think the Chiefs will make the playoffs, even though if they didn't, even if the season started today or the postseason started today, the Chiefs would not be in the playoffs. The Chiefs are literally third in their division, would not be a playoff team. Bless me. Sorry. So that being said, so I don't care what their offense looks like if it's bad and they're winning. Mahomes is still the best in the world. The Chiefs are still the best in the world. But if they're not winning at such a high clip, it doesn't matter because the offense does look that great. The offense is amazing. Mahomes is getting back to where he was when he was an MVP. I get it. You got to have a gimmick. You got to have something to show people. You got to be entertaining. But let's not take all of these things that are said as, oh, just because he's smart, which I believe he is, just because he's funny, I think there is things he does that's humorous, and because his show is very well produced, let's not, like, we can call a lie. We can call a spade a spade. His view on the Chiefs is always going to be hypocritical. And he's a fan. And instead of just saying, hey, I'm a fan, I'm going to be biased towards my team, he tries to sell it as this, well, I've always been correct. You should acknowledge my opinion because I've been correct so much. When the reality is, again, if you look at what the Chiefs have done versus what the Lakers have done and his NFL versus NBA takes, he just got on the end of the LeBron dynasty versus he's been on TV during the whole time of the Chiefs dynasty. But let's not confuse. Let's not act, and this is one of the biggest things, we'll close it out here. We're all trying to talk about the process. What wins? What works? Old school is like, well, it's the teams that run the football, play good defense. That's a baseline process to predicting good NFL teams. Now we put a much higher emphasis on the quarterbacks, as we should. So it's who's got the best quarterback, who's got the best head coach, who's offensive play caller, who's an OC, DC, all that stuff. There's more things we try to talk about the process of winning games because the results sometimes are just wild. Again, Atlanta blanked 30-0 by Carolina, handles the Bills. We can't confuse or give in to people that are just like, well, my result was correct, So who cares if my process was totally wrong? That's not a real take, a real opinion. That's not a real analyst. That's not real analysis, because anybody could do that. I could just start guessing on games and hit at a high rate. So again, stop. The show's fantastic because the show is well produced. And there's other people on that show, and there's bits, and there's other things that make that show wonderful. Nick Wright is an analyst. I'm not rolling, and neither should you. And I at least admit I'm a Chiefs hater. I'm a Broncos fan my whole life. I at least admit that. And I have talked about a process with the Chiefs that I don't think is sustainable. I'm not confusing result with process. I'm not justifying saying, the result, I got the result in the end, so who cares? Let's stop giving, let's cool it on Nick Wright, man. And he, again, when you out yourself, when the offense isn't good, but you're not concerned, but now the team's not doing as well and the offense is great, so you're like, hey, look, I'm right again. I mean, if you want to be a part of one of the coolest and most unique communities, don't forget to like and subscribe.